Come on! Somebody knows this, right? I thought everybody knew this. The first video game I ever played was a Donkey Kong Country. Guys, I thought it was universally loved, that theme. Apparently I'm wrong. But yes, Donkey Kong Country. So my cousins, my big cousins, Lynn, Kim and Catherine, shout out to you beautiful ladies. They were the ones that had all the video games when we were wee growing up. They had a SNES and then later on they had the N64. And when they got the N64, I finally got the SNES off of them to try, and my first game I ever played was Donkey Kong Country, and it was so good. I was like, this stuff is 3D, kinda. That was 3D when I was wee. 3D nowadays obviously was, you know.
Technically it was 3D.
Technically it was, yeah. So yeah, it was just absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna say it was many bits, 32 bits. It was 16 bits, it was many bits. But it was really cool because I'd seen obviously games being played by them before, but hadn't been old enough to sort of try them. But the first one I ever got to try was Donkey Kong, thanks to them. Love it. I was sort of watching them play, studying, learning all the secrets. So when I finally got to play it, I knew everything and I could get all the bananas, and it was just so good, and I love it. And I knew how to get all the ostriches and all the swordfish, and it's just a brilliant game, which I have got, still got the original SNES version. I've now got it on the mini SNES. I've got it on the Wii, which I haven't played in about 10 years, but I do have it. And I've also got it on something else as well. Wii U. I just kept rebuying it. It's so good. I'll play through that game until the end of days. It's so good, so good. Shout out also to my first handheld game, which of course was Pokemon Blue, which must have been around the same kind of time, but just very quickly when I was wee, was just obsessed with games. So yeah, I got Donkey Kong, and then very quickly after got Pokemon Blue and started catching Pokemon. Who was your first ever Pokemon, guys? Do you remember your first Pokemon, like your first Bulbasaur, mine too. Bulbasaur.
A Dratini trading card.
No, that doesn't count.
I'm gonna say Torchic.
Torchic, Bulbasaur.
So I started Gen 3.
Team Bulbasaur. First Pokemon card was a Charmander. I don't know how I remember that, but I do.
Yeah, no, I remember the Dratini, like, she was such a queen.
It depends on whether or not you count, like, my choice as a video game. But do you remember the Tiger handheld electronic games from, like...
You're way too old.
Damn it, man. They were really simplistic games. Benji, you remember this, surely?
Yes.
You remember it as well, Rich. So it's basically like all it was. It was a D-pad and 2 buttons, and that's all it was. And the one that I had, and I actually spoke about this on a previous. This was before Chatty Faces was even a thing. This was back when previous people were still working here. Did it with them, and they asked me what was my first gaming memory, and it was the same as my first game that I ever played, and it was a Tiger Electronic Batman the Movie themed one, given to me by my grandmother, and I went and saw her every week or every couple of weeks with my mum at the nursing home that she was in. And my gran was the classic gran. She didn't understand sort of technology. So on like advice from her friends and younger friends that came in sort of thing, she was like, oh, this is what the kids play, is it? And I remember sitting there, and I must have been about, like 7 or 8. And she came over and she was like, are you bored, boy? And I was like, no, Granny, I'm not bored. And I was clearly lying. I was very boring being that young in a sort of nursing home. And she just like fumbled around and got out this tiger thing. It's like, well, I've been told this is very fun. And I remember just playing it and just being like, dead. Oh, thanks, Gran. But seriously, I've still got it, and actually, Ben and Peter actually went and bought me the original, obviously not the same one, but they bought me the exact one for my birthday a couple of years ago, which is a very, very treasured possession I've got now, so thank you very much, lads, for that. But yeah, it was that's my first gaming memory. If that doesn't count, though, I think it might have been something really crap, like John Madden's NFL 1994 on the SNES, like, because my dad just had a SNES and it was like the big thing at the time, and I was just like, oh, wicked. Oh, it's a menu. Oh, it's just stats. Oh, is this what video games are? Not really for me. Look at me now, eh?
Well, I apologise to anyone who has seen our really great video on the earliest Christmas memory because it's quite similar. It's Hercules on the PlayStation 1. That was like the first gaming memory I have and the first game I ever played. But it's kind of warped in my head like I explained on that video because I got it for one Christmas when I was about 4 years old. You know that thing where you kind of memories get blended with fiction and you don't really know what's true because it was so long ago and it's just kind of a story you've told yourself. So I have no idea if this part of the story is true, but I distinctly recall it being Christmas Eve and my dad letting me play the PlayStation 1, which I didn't know I was getting for Christmas, but I thought I was. And we played Hercules, and it was like the best experience of all time. And then he said, oh, it's your cousin's PlayStation. Like, wouldn't you love this for Christmas? And I was like, hell yeah. And then it turned out it was mine, and I got to play it the next day, and it was so good. But I was watching some footage of it before I came in here. And like, even, it's weird how the sounds of like old games, I haven't even played Hercules, I even looked at it since I was about 5, 6, a couple of years afterwards. But it was just all came like rushing back to me, and I got like a really great like adrenaline rush watching it again. I want to go back and play it because I remember like the hard bits that I was stuck on that I couldn't get over as a kid that I could go back to now and absolutely boss because I'm a pro gamer now and not crap anymore. But there's one boss battle in that game that I distinctly remember. It's a fight against like a Hydra, which I think is from the film, and you have to keep chopping the heads off, and then they keep growing back, and it was just so epic. And I think that's why I love Dark Souls 1 so much, because of that memory and the association with Hercules on the PlayStation 1, because there's Hydras in that game, and then one of my favourite bits, I remember seeing a Hydra in Dark Souls and being like, get in, because I remembered it from Hercules PlayStation 1.
I think you're the only one who is excited to see Hydra.
Honestly, there's that great moment in Dark Souls, don't know how I'm talking about Dark Souls now, when you go into, fill me in, Rich.
The Great Hall, the Ash Lake?
The Ash Lake, and you see it on your left, and I thought, get in. That's almost as good as the Hydra fight in Hercules. Don't know where I'm going with this, but this is my end. Also, Rayman, that was the second game I ever played. And it was so hard, and I still can't do it today. I got it on the PlayStation Classic, and I still can't do it. It's really, really difficult. So I'm going to pretend that doesn't exist. In my show is Hercules. And Dark Souls.
Pro gamer, Josh.
Pro gamer. MLG?
LJ.
MLJ.
MLJB.
Ooh. Hello, Ash, get up off the floor.
No.
I've told this story many a time about my love affair with a certain blue marsupial. Is he a marsupial?
He's technically not.
Oh.
He's a mammal.
Mammal?
Yeah, he's a
How about a blue spiky boy? That works. Basically, the first game I ever played was the original Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive.
Blue Spiky Boy, I thought you meant Mario Kart. Sorry, go on.
I've told the story a million times here on Chatty Faces. My dad had a Mega Drive, and when I was young, I used to love playing the games on Sky. Beehive Bedlam, exactly, Beehive Bedlam. I used to love playing that, but it meant that my parents couldn't watch TV, so my dad was like, well, I've got this thing called a Mega Drive in the loft. And I was like, cool, you know, I don't know how old I was at the time, but for some reason in my head when he said Mega Drive, I thought he had like a proper big arcade racing cabinet in the loft, and he'd bring it down and set it up in the living room. I can sit there and drive stuff. No, not literally a Mega Drive, but he brought it down. And he had this little old CRT TV. So he put it on the footstool and sat me in the like as far in the corner of the living room as possible, and set me up with the Mega Drive and left me Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Aladdin for the Mega Drive, which is better than the SNES one. Sorry, and an RPG called Soleil, which I didn't really get into. Not really an RPG guy, so Soleil never really, you know, got on my radar. But no, Sonic 1 I played to death. Sonic 2 is better, in my opinion, and I did play that one more, but the first one I ever played was Sonic 1, and I remember going to a friend's house to stay for a day or so when my parents were away, and I literally took the Mega Drive, the games, and the TV with me, because I was that obsessed with playing this Mega Drive when I got first introduced to it. And I still have it. I still have all the original copies of the game, so I should have brought it with me. I should be able to go, look, this is the literal first game I ever played. I have it right here. But that's probably why I've loved Sonic so much, because it was my first ever game, as much as most of his games are except the 2D ones, and level 1 of Sonic Adventure 2. Back me up, Benji.
Yes, Sonic.
Sonic Forces, though.
Sonic Forces can get in the bin, Rach. Why did I spend money on that?
Hi, Benji.
Hello, Rich.
Welcome to Chatty Faces. How are you today?
Just delighted. Listening to Rich talk about his dad haul a Mega Drive out the loft. just reminds me that I'm literally as old as Methuselah, because like I remember getting a Mega Drive for Christmas. So obviously my first game memory is even older than that. It's like
Jesus.
over a quarter of a century ago, and it was on a tape. So if you don't know what a tape is, I'll explain that. It's basically like it's like a USB drive, but you can only put 4 songs on it.
Wow, what?
Yeah. It was a game on the Commodore 64 called Split Personalities, and it was basically Tetris, except the blocks were the disassembled faces of politicians.
That sounds terrifying.
It was pretty terrifying, especially when you've got like John Major's leering face coming at you, and you had Mikhail Gorbachev, and there was a couple of celebrities in there like Charles and Diana during the Happy Years. It was actually going to be called Splitting Images originally, which is a great name, but it was a little bit too close to the satirical puppet show Spitting Image. And satire, that's another concept that doesn't exist anymore because real politics is so ridiculous. But yeah, I can't really explain why a game where you rearrange the faces of politicians appealed to a 4-year-old. But I can completely understand why like putting Margaret Thatcher's face in the bin would have had vast like social appeal. Not to me, but I just really, I don't know, I like the colours, I like moving things around. It's like Lego, but Lego with famous faces.
The first game I ever played was, of course, as it was for many a person of my age, Spyro the Dragon.
Not me!
That little purple nerd. Why was it not yours? That little purple guy, the little dragon, and that came out in 1998, I think, so I was about 3 at the time. I don't know if that's when I started playing it, but it's the first one I actually like remember fully sticking in, going around, saving the Dragon Kingdom, having a lovely time. And then Ripto's Rage after that, and the other one, Spyro the Year of the Dragon, with the skateboards. That was the best game ever. Like, out of those 3, that one is the ultimate, like, best game ever. Maybe of all time. Like, forget all of the other ones.
Ooh.
Forget Dark Souls Rage. Spyro the Dragon.
I mean, that's a chatty faces for another day.
Yeah, but it's true.
But back to Spyro the Dragon.
Skateboarding and dragons. I'm just very excited about it. But yeah, no, those are the ones that I remember having like the most fun with and enjoying the most and just having a lovely old time. But I think after those, it was Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase.
Oh, yes!
Which was an absolute banger.
It's like the Dark Souls of PlayStation 1.
Yeah, that was hard.
It's a piss take, okay.
Oh my god, that was cracked out at every birthday party I had,
So
like,
good.
for years. Maybe still now, like, honestly. There ain't no party like an Ash Millman party. But yeah, Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase was so cool and also so hard. I only remember, I think I only got to, like, the
first level's like the
Japan level.
The Japan level, I
Yeah.
never get past that.
I think
It's such a bit.
That's the only one I did. I had it on Game Boy Advance as well, and managed to get like almost to the end because you have to write down all the codes so you can get back like and fight the enemies again and stuff. So because it doesn't have like proper save states or something, so you have to save all the codes to be like, oh, this is where I got to last time, and that was even harder, maybe, but also great. Scooby-Doo on any platform is great. Night of 100 Frights, also the best game of all time. Like, just great. My childhood was Night of 100 Frights and Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. And then Spyro the Dragon skateboarding level. Just that level, over and over again. The perfect games history. I don't know what other games I ever needed. I don't know why I ever carried on playing games from those points because they've all disappointed me.
Because my memory used to be amazing, but it's now just basically just one of those sand thingies that just is cracked. So like you turn it upside down and instead of counting down time, all the memories just kind of float away.
You're a broken hourglass of a man.
Yes, exactly. So I encountered video games like pretty much most pop culture at a very, very young age. I was kind of raised on stuff like Batman the Animated Series and Star Wars and everything. Video games are a weird thing to me because I definitely encountered them when I was like 3, 4, but I can't remember in the exact order that I did. So we had Virtual Springfield on our desktop and it ran like ass. It was so bad. Like literally you'd click on a thing, it's like I want to go to like the Quickie Mart now, and it would just be like and obviously it was narrated by Troy McClure as well, which is really, really good. So that kind of, I guess, maybe I encountered Virtual Springfield before I encountered Simpsons, which is very interesting. And then after that, there's stuff like Toy Story 2, the video game, which again, I think everyone will probably remember now because it's out on the current gen systems. Like you can actually go down on PS Now and play it, I think. I had that for the Dreamcast. The one kid on the neighborhood who had a Dreamcast, everyone else had like PlayStations, but the Dreamcast was great. And then Legoland, the video game, and this is like our arc coming full circle, Rich, because you have like 4 personalities, which is Doctor Who, Call of Duty, and Tetris, and roller coasters. So Legoland, the video game, was literally Roller Coaster Tycoon, but instead of that, you had Lego. And I always got really bored with it because the guests just didn't care what I was building. They really didn't care. So I ended up, you could do a thing where you could like grab them by the scruff of the neck and put them back in. And then when I got really bored, you could trigger a cutscene animation where your animatronic dinosaurs just went through the park and destroyed everything. So that was fun. I think I've also already mentioned Buzz Lightyear: Star Command. Which was based on the cartoon series Buzz Lightyear: Star Command, which is basically the cartoon show that in the Toy Story films is the show that they watch, and it was really good. And the game was like kind of like a almost not a runner, but like it was a third-person action game, and you shot things, but the camera wasn't over the shoulder, so you were just kind of awkwardly pointing Buzz Lightyear trying to shoot at these different things. I remember it being like the best thing ever, and there were certain levels that really scared me.
So for me, I can go all the way back to the Master System, which I forget how I got one. My friend had a Mega Drive, I think, and then I went to buy one and it wasn't available, so I had to get a Master System. And so the first thing that I played was Alex Kidd, and it's called like something in Miracle Land. Look, I just came from Avengers, and it was I've only had 4 hours sleep, and oh my god, if you've seen Avengers Endgame, oh my god. And so yeah, my first game was Alex Kidd, and I remember just thinking, there were two things that I remember from that. One is that it had a rock, paper, scissors mini game, which I thought was brilliant, because I actually discovered rock, paper, scissors in the game and then thought, oh, everyone's playing this new Alex Kidd thing. This is a cool game mechanic for the world's populace to catch on to, but turns out it originated in real life first or whatever. And the other thing as well is that when you're playing a game and you're a kid, you just believe everything that's on screen. You fill in the gaps, and the thing that I mean by that is that old school Alex Kidd obviously was on, I don't know, 16-bit, 8-bit hardware, but there was one level right at the beginning where you climb up a whole bunch of platforms and you look out over a series of trees that have been copied and pasted to show the height of the mountain that you're on. And I remember I was like 4. I don't even know what age I could have been when I played it, but I was like, look at that forest, look how high I am, look how much I'm taking in this amazing view. And I've been back to it since then, and it's literally one tree copied and pasted like 50 times along the top row of the screen, and I just remember thinking that was the most beautiful thing ever. So yeah, first game ever would have been Alex Kidd, followed closely by Croc, because my mum's friend had a PlayStation 1 that she lent me, and I would have been like 8 or something when the PS1 came out, and I played Croc, Legend of the Gobos, which I totally still recommend. But I would also say go grab some Alex Kidd and play some rock, paper, scissors, because that's nowhere. And bollocks to your lizard, Spock. You want the rock, paper, scissors all the way.
You heard it first, folks. Scott Tilford wants you to grab kids.
And the scissors. And the Alex.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Now, if you want more chatty faces, why not watch through the rest of our playlist? But I just want to say a big thank you to the brilliant channel sponsors for voting on this week's chatty question. And if you want to join the vote, then why not consider hitting the join button and becoming a sponsor today? And we will see you next week. Bye!